So, I'm really excited to chat with you today about the number one mistake I see new entrepreneurs make when they launch. And this is, I think, the reason that launches get such a bad rap. And I am ready to just put an end to it as soon as possible. So, the number one mistake that I see people make is allowing their launches to make them extremely burnt out. So, when I talk to people about why they might not be launching or I see people leaving money on the table by not offering these live sales periods in their business. And they'll tell me that either they're scared of launching, they're overwhelmed by it, they already have so much on their plate and they don't know where to start with launching, or most importantly, they've launched in the past and it was a complete nightmare and they were fully burnt out. So maybe they got a really good idea, they put together a launch, they saw what other people were doing while, in their launches and tried to recreate it on their end. But then after the launch, they were exhausted and they went into hibernation or went totally dark after their launch and didn't put anything out. And so I see this happen a lot. And I think the reason is that I think this is the reason that everybody is so afraid of launching is that it seems like this big production. And especially if you are, you already have a business that's bringing in clients and you're already seeing those clients. And now you think, okay, now I need to add a launch on top of that. And maybe you want to shift from a one-to-one model to a group model. And so here's the way to get around that. The number one thing that you can do to avoid getting burnt out during your next launch is major pre-planning. So what I always say is that you should be at least 1 month ahead of your audience in terms of knowing what's going to come out next. When you look at big brands, when you look at, Fortune 500 companies, they know about their next upcoming sales launches and campaigns at least 9 to 12 months before any of them happen. Of course, they make edits and blah, blah, blah happens closer to launch date, but they know what's going on in their business and they're able to make projections based on those decisions that they've made 9 or 12 months beforehand. And so if you're not ready to be making decisions that far ahead in your business, and maybe this is your first launch, what I want you to do and what I want to recommend is at the very beginning of every single quarter, I want you to choose some dates that you're going to launch, and I want you to start reverse engineering them. And so we're about to get into the beginning of Q2, which is so exciting. And I want to know with every single person who watches this video, I want to know, when are you launching, and is that date set in stone in your calendar? And do you know everything that needs to happen between now and your launch? And have you reverse engineered up to today what you need to be working on right now? Because what I actually prefer is when people are in a launch period, I give so much space in my personal calendar so that I can actually show up for a launch and I can be energetically not burnt out during the launch as well as after the launch. Because one of the really important things that you want to keep in mind is that even though you've been doing all this work behind the scenes, when you actually open the cart, you need to be showing up in a way that is really inviting to people who might be considering joining your program. So you want to make sure that everything is scheduled and written, and all of those things are totally done so that when it's launch period, you're able to show up in a really intentional way, be able to answer those questions in your DMs. You don't want all that stuff to be just another thing that you need to do. And of course that's going to happen, right? People are going to want to maybe book a call with you, answer questions in the DMs. Maybe people are going to be leaving you comments, replying to your emails. Maybe something in your cart is not going to work and you're going to have to go fix it. All of this stuff happens, and so you want to make sure that you have nothing in your calendar when it comes to actual launch period. Then when your launch is over, it actually gives you some space to be able to debrief, analyze what worked and what didn't, and most importantly, reschedule for your next launch and recycle what worked from this launch to the next one. So every consecutive launch afterwards is even easier. There's even less work on your plate. And so ask yourself right now, when's my next launch and what do I need to do today in order to be really prepared for that launch in the next 3 to 6 months? So if you don't know what you need to do, maybe you've never launched before, maybe you have, but you didn't really follow any framework or structure, then I have a whole checklist on it. It's totally free. I'll leave a link here. I believe it's alyssacoleman.ca/checklist, I think. And that will tell you everything I do month by month broken down. That way you can be sure that you won't be burning out before your next launch and you won't be having major launch regrets and you're not leaving money on the table. Good luck.